Welcome to another Hollywood Gothique video exploring horror, fantasy, and science fiction entertainment in Los Angeles. Today we take you to the Count's Den for an interview with Ian Heath, star and creator of MysterIan's Mysterious Mysteries, a live show that examines uncanny enigmas and unearthly mysteries, all of them drawn from real life. Come along with us, if you dare.
Oh, hello there! I'm so glad to see you again. I was just thinking about how wonderful it was to have you in the audience during the Jack the Ripper show. Yet, I'm afraid I'm in no state to entertain right now. I'm putting the finishing touches on my next night of stories for you.
The Count's Den in downtown Los Angeles is the home of Immersive Arts Collective, a nonprofit group that stages interactive theater productions. Past performances have included Cirque du Sique, A Grave Affair, which invited audiences to a strange funeral celebration, Transit Room, number 32, set in a limbo land inhabited by lost souls, and Bite, a series about a family of vampires, which has so far extended to 3 installments. In April of this year, Immersive Arts launched a new series, MysterIan's Mysterious Mysteries. Resembling a stage version of a true crime podcast, the one-person show has Ian Heath appearing on video as host while performing the other characters live. The debut episode focused on the grisly crimes of Jack the Ripper. The second installment, running in July, is devoted to a famous UFO conspiracy theory. Mr. Heath sat down with us to discuss the show, its creation, its debut, and what audiences can expect from the new episode, Roswell.
So MysterIan's Mysterious Mysteries is all about taking some sort of mysterious subject, whether it be Jack the Ripper, Roswell, Bigfoot, and giving kind of an overview, a little deeper dive, and then showing some of the other kind of connected issues around it, giving you a chance to learn about it, hopefully be a little entertained, and also be inspired to then go out and learn about it yourself. Rachel Adams, who owns the Count's Den, runs the IAC, and starting last summer, she kept saying, I want to do a storytelling series. I would love to have you come into the den and tell stories on Jack the Ripper, or Bigfoot, or aliens, or ghost stories. And I was talking with Elif, who is the director, Elif Savas, and mentioned this idea, and she goes, well, what if you were a late night movie host? From there, we just took off running. I picked up the idea for Jack the Ripper because we had talked about it so much, wrote a basic script. We sat down, talked about it, and a week later, we were filming and rehearsing. Pretty much everyone knows who Jack the Ripper is. So if you want something that will draw interest without really knowing what a show's about, that's a great topic. There's a lot you can write about it. I mentioned it in the episode for those who didn't see it, but really, if I were to do a deep dive on Jack the Ripper, I would be sitting in that room for a good 24 hours and still not be halfway through. It's so much you can talk about. And also, it's a great mystery. There's a lot of suspense. There's a lot of action. As a chance for both me as a writer to figure out what the style of the show will be, and then for the audience watching, this is a great introduction to this format.
Mr. Lusk, so I'll send you out the kidney I took from one woman, preserved it for you.
For format, we have myself as this character, Mr. Ian, pre-recorded and projected on a large screen, like you're watching a movie, kind of like a late-night horror host. But then on stage, I'm there taking on all the different characters. For the last show, I think we had 17 different people who were talking, plus some others who just kind of walked around. And so I, as this character, or these various characters, play off of and interact with myself up on screen, kind of giving me 2 different places I can be while being the only one on stage. And for this, it's really nice because it allows me to have one person who kind of gives exposition and kind of lays things out straight, while I can be on stage being goofy or being strange or doing movement work, and allows me to kind of split off those 2 duties.
I see a sort of vague similarity between what you're doing with your show and attempts to do stage productions of The Who's Rock Opera Tommy. The lyrics tell the story, and everyone who tries to stage a thing has got to figure out what are the actors going to do that's not redundant. vaguely similar thing here. You've got a narrator going who's telling us the basic story, and then you've got to come up with something for the live action portion to do beyond what we've already been told.
But I have a secret weapon for that, and her name's a leaf. Having her as a director really is what makes the show work. For example, with this upcoming show, there was one character who I had written in a very specific way, written jokes for in a very specific way. And then as I started doing it, Elif stopped me and said, try making her more worldly. Make her a little different. And all of a sudden, what I had written in a very specific way didn't work. However, the information that needed to get out was still in there. And so I, knowing what I had written and knowing what I had pre-recorded, could then just go back, look at my script and say, okay, well, if I take out these words and keep the general information, I can still deliver it in this new way and will still work.
Obviously, the tape portion's recorded. How does that affect the rehearsal and staging?
It makes rehearsing very easy because Elif and I can meet 2 or 3 times with Rachel. We can set down my blocking. We can set down the lights. And then I can go home with an iPad or my phone and the video file, and I can just rehearse in my living room to my heart's content. And we don't have to worry about the space or everyone driving downtown. And that is very easy.
Good luck! Yours truly, Jack the Ripper.
What sort of lessons, if any, did you learn from reactions to the first episode, and how are you applying that to Roswell?
One thing I learned personally while performing is I started doing these characters and seeing how people reacted to some of these characters and had this feeling of, I wish I had more time with them. And so I sat down and wrote these characters to hang around for longer, to bounce off of the pre-recorded me a little more.
What makes Roswell a good topic for a sophomore outing the show? Obviously, it doesn't have the whole murder angle mystery thing going with it. It's a different kind of mystery.
Jack the Ripper was a little more action-packed, where this is a little more strange people who really want to talk to you. They really want to talk to the camera. We all agree that something happened. Something crashed. It was found. And then you have people going off in all these different directions, or going off in one direction, then coming back and saying, no, it was actually this. And then coming back 30 years later and saying, no, it was the first one. And it's almost more of a study in humanity than Jack the Ripper in some ways, because it is all these people who just kind of like saw something weird, whether it's actually what they saw or not, but they have a story they want to tell you, and they are going to tell you all of it. The amount of conflicting information I found of, oh, he found it 2 days before. Actually, he found it 3 weeks before. Actually, everyone called him the famous cowboy, W.W. Brazel. Actually, no one knew him, and most people called him Mac. And at a certain point, I just had to throw up my hands and say, okay, I have all this information. What makes a good story? What is entertaining while keeping the heart of what we know to be true, however small that may be, and then is still presented in a way that you as the audience can look at it and say, okay, let me find out for myself.
Looking into the future, what mysteries would you like to explore?
Well, while we don't have anything to announce quite yet, I can tell you I've been doing some preliminary research on Bigfoot, and I'd love to find a way to make a good ghost story episode, but I need to think a little bit more about that. I would love to do an episode on the Men in Black. I think one of the things now that we've really kind of found our footing for the format is I find that it is important to have some sort of kernel of reality that you can use as your base to build off from. Something like Area 51, there's not much concrete. It's just, we think something's there. And then you talk about what all those things are. But the Men in Black, you have all of these, even like Dan Aykroyd, I think, was approached by a man in black who like came to him in an alley and said, your show's not going to go up. Walked away, and then he walks inside, a producer comes up and says, yeah, we need to cancel your alien show.
Final question. Unsolved mysteries seem like stories without endings, which could be a problem for dramatic storytelling. So what is their enduring appeal? What makes these things fascinating and worth telling in your format?
The mystery is the whole thing. I think the second you give too many details or too many answers, personally, I lose interest. It's like I mentioned, I love ghost stories. If you tell me like all these little minutia, it stops being interesting. I want to know, like, I want to be a little spooked. I want to be a little unsettled. I want the unknown, because whatever you imagine is always going to be way more interesting than what actually happened. Whoever this guy lurking in the corner in a cloak is way grislier, way scarier, way more disturbing in your head than when you pull him into the light and he's an accountant. Same thing with Roswell. If we were able to look at whatever was down there, even if it was an alien spaceship, I think all of a sudden, okay, well, that's a definite thing. We know what it is. There aren't as many questions. But when we have to say, okay, well, they said they found weird metal. The government said it's a weather balloon, but then they said it's not. It's a different thing. But they still aren't giving us all the details. What could it be? It could be anything. The sky is the limit. And our brains going through all the possibilities. That's fun.
Thanks to Ian Heath for speaking with us. MysterIan's Mysterious Mysteries runs on Saturdays from July 9th through July 30th, with 2 performances nightly at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. The Count's Den is located at 1039 South Olive Street in Los Angeles. For more information, go to thecountsden.com. Until next time, may all of your dreams be filled with delicious nightmares.
I love my work and want to start again. You'll soon hear of me and my funny little games.